Hello and welcome. It is 6 o'clock. It is the 6 o'clock club, and it is Thursday. It's Andy from Twisted Narrative, and I'm joined today by Chris from Evil Pigeon Games. You might have seen him before. We had a very, uh, well, an awesome conversation about a month ago about a Kickstarter that was successfully funded. And I mean, I feel privileged. You've launched another one today, and you've spent the time coming to sort of chat about it now. But before we go into that, I mean, say hi, Chris. Hi.
Yeah, there.
Um,
Absolute pleasure to be here.
yeah, no, it's great. It's really awesome. I very much enjoyed the last book, which we'll have a chat about in a minute. But before we do that, obviously I want to cover some twisted narrative news, primarily about the games that we ran last night and the games that the game that we're running tonight. Last night was a pre-record. It wasn't a sort of private ticketed game, an actual play for Shadow Dark. Those of you who follow me know that I am somewhat obsessed with this game at the moment, and I genuinely think it is super awesome. Um, so we did a Tales from the Smoke, a game of Shadow Dark set in the smoke, uh, my homebrew city, and I had an amazing time. The system most definitely lived up to everything that I hoped it would be, and the players had a blast as well. Um, the players that we had was Fliss, we had Ian, we had Kyle, and we had Brian. And I'm not going to say much more about it because we actually pre-recorded it. We've uploaded it onto YouTube now. There's a lot of people watching it, and they seem to be sort of watching it all the way through rather than just tuning in. Um, yeah, go have a look at it, make up your own mind. To be honest, I'm getting I don't want to oversell Shadow Dark to you because just because I think it is awesome, you can start putting people off if you rattle on about something so much. Make your own mind up. I don't think it's going to replace any of the other games that I run, but it's certainly found a place in my heart, and I am going to run more games alongside all of the others that I do. So please go check it out. I genuinely think you'll be surprised and enjoy it. So that was last night. Tonight is our regular fortnightly campaign, which, if I can find the right flyer for this, is Call of the Netherdeep. I've done it. Oh, victory is mine. So, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons Call of the Netherdeep, critical role set in Exandria, and they have just finished the episode where they have delved deep into Betrayer's Rise and came out victorious. We do have Jack, we have Joe, we have Em, we have James, we have Michael, and we have Connor playing with that. We ended it on sort of a small amount of a cliffhanger as they agreed to be teleported across the world to the other side of the world to Marquette. That's what the wizard casting the spell said they were going to do, but are they actually going to arrive? Who knows? Who knows? But we'll be starting that game at 7 o'clock tonight. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's a great group of players. It's very role play invested, and the book is incredibly well written. Once again, the team behind it has gave it that critical role feel. And by that, what I mean is it's there's a lot of very nice role play moments in the entire campaign book. So there's a lot of other things happening, but I'll cover that tomorrow night because we have a guest and he's sitting quietly and patiently. Let us talk about you. Let us talk about Evil Pigeon Games. Um, first and foremost, I think it would be amiss not to talk about your previous Kickstarter, which I backed. I actually paid for. So this is not sponsored. This is my own hard-earned money went on this, and I loved it. Um,
Wow, thank you so much for backing it. Thank you so much for saying that you loved it.
no,
Um,
it's a genuine pleasure. And there's a few reasons why I thought it was amazing. But we'll come on to that in a minute. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it first?
Yeah. So this is the hardback. It's the first time I've done hardbacks, and it's
Oh,
absolutely lush, and I regret not doing it for every one before. So yeah, the plethora of potential partners is all about making relationships with NPCs, platonic and kind of business ones, as well as romantic ones, because I don't know about anyone else's players, but I always find mine, they'll get attached to NPCs and want to just stick with them forever. Um, so I thought, why not lean into that and actually just dangle some NPCs in front of them that are kind of pre-built for that, and you know, give some guidance for kind of just taking the NPCs that they've latched onto and turning it into an actual relationship system where they've got to work for the friendship just as you would in real life.
yep.
And yeah, in a nutshell, that's plethora of partners. Um,
I have to say, and you can check the previous video where I was chatting to Chris about it, as it was sort of halfway through the Kickstarter or coming towards the end of it. I kind of had reservations. You know, I've not used a system for role play relationships before. So, in many ways, it was new. But the more I thought about it after the conversation, the more I realized this happens in a lot of very cool RPG video games. Dragon Age certainly sort of springs to mind, where you have all of these in effect NPCs because you're
mm,
playing a solo game and you have to go through the dialogues
yeah,
and part of the fun of that sort of style of game is to try all of the dialogues and try and work out what is
yeah,
the best things to do. So I kind of I came around to the concept before I even received the book, and then when I got the book, I was totally sold upon it. It's a very neat mechanical way to do that, but beyond that, the book is. I mean, I've just checked the page counts. What I was doing whilst you were talking, it's like 133 plus pages.
yeah.
Uh, so
Top 133. Yeah,
yeah, it's there's a lot in there, and there's a lot to cherry pick and choose from. There's a large number of different NPCs, and we were talking sort of off air just briefly. It's not padded out. That is 133 pages of genuinely useful
yeah.
stuff.
The thing, the thing is, I find that DMs and players really, 'cause there's stuff for players in here too, are incredibly busy people. So you don't want to read half a page of waffle before you get to the point. And I don't want to have to write half a page of waffle before I get to the point. So it's just bam, 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 all gas all the way through is kind of what I try. I also try and uh, put my books in a very kind of modular fashion, so that you could literally just open it up at any page and find something that you could use then and there. You don't have to like constantly be going through,
Yeah.
to find the thing you need. Um, so yeah, just a bit of my design philosophy.
I genuinely like that, and it doesn't feel like you need to read the whole thing to understand everything. Um, for me, what I like to do is I like to skim read the entirety of it, sort of getting ideas and the like. And then if something kind of really goes, oh, that's useful, for tonight's game, I sort of then microscope down and begin to sort of, you know,
Yeah,
read it in length. Um, there is so much stuff, and again, something that I mentioned. One of the things I like is, for all of these NPCs, you've
Mm.
not just gone, here's the name of the NPC. You've gave them kind of an archetype of stuff. I'm looking at the moment at secretive aristocrat, and I mean
Yeah,
that in itself just gives me 1,000 ideas already just by thinking of that. And then you scan down and there's all information about Eleanor and background and
yeah.
personality and traits,
Um,
which, yeah.
yeah. One of the things I've often come across is when you're given kind of often in journaling games, you're given kind of open-ended prompts with just things to spark ideas, and that's what I wanted to do with this. And those little taglines where it's just like secret aristocrat, socialite spy. That if that's what you want, to just look at that and get boom an idea for you to build off of, amazing. And then if you want to get further and get a bit more support, there's more kind
Yeah.
of things that build up as you go through. Um, but with all my things, I like to give options. So with the one I'm doing at the moment, I don't say, oh, this is how crime and law should be in your world. I go, well, here are the different aspects. Answer these questions and build it up yourself. And here are the different ramifications. There's options baked into the whole thing.
Absolutely. And just to wrap up, Plethora, which you can still get if you didn't kickstart it. We'll put a link into chat where you can purchase Evil Pigeon Games sort of books. Um, but again, you use photographs, and I love this. There is some artwork in there as well, but the photographs are beautiful. Um,
Mm.
very, very nice. And we kind of mentioned this before, but I think it's well worth mentioning again. Um, why did you choose photographs over?
I wanted the people to seem 100% real.
Yeah,
Um, and I also thought it'd stand out because it's not something that's done very often.
yeah,
And I like each of my works to have a slightly distinct style. Um, so I did photographs for Tome of Witches and for Plethora of Partners. I'm probably going to move away from photographs
yeah,
for a little while, do something else. But yeah, I like each one to kind of have a distinct feel, and I thought photographs would make it stand out a bit.
mm,
Um, yeah, and just be a nice little surprise. You open and go, oh, there's a real person staring back
yeah.
at me.
And I have to say, the photographs are very good. You know, you're a third party publisher, probably don't have a huge amount of money to spend. But these photographs, they don't look like cheesy, and there's nothing wrong with cheesy LARP. They kind of look, off film sets. They look amazing. The sort of level of detail and the sort of the art direction of them
Mm.
matched with the archetype, for me, I thought was spot on. Did you spend a lot of time sort of trying to get that right, or is it something that naturally sort
Um,
of comes?
I kind of worked with some professional photographers and
Yeah,
models, and kind of mix of commissionings and things,
yeah,
and purchasing, rights to use some
yeah, yeah,
pre-demos. 'Cause yeah, as you say, with being a small third-party publisher, I would love to have an infinite
yeah,
art
yeah,
library, but sadly, it's not the case. So for a few of them, rights were purchased to
yeah.
use existing ones. But
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because you had to go out, you had to source them and choose them, and I think you've done a great job in the art direction of matching that. For me personally,
mm,
you look at it and it looks professionally done, but it matches the archetypes perfectly. And again, they say a picture says 1,000 words, and these definitely do. I could look at one of those photographs just, during an encounter of my game,
Yeah.
and you can start describing like the druid, for instance, and you pick up on the details of the feathers and the like. Um, and it makes the character come alive. I think they're absolutely fantastic. And I mean, what you could do at the table as well, because the photographs kind of resonate with me, is show your players the photograph. This is
Yeah.
this is who you meet. Everybody goes, that's not a picture. That's like a real person.
And that with some of the photos, like particularly the Eleanor, the secret aristocrat.
Hmm.
So she's a vampire,
Yeah.
as one might guess. And I had another option for a photo that was quite obvious, but held back. So I was like, no, because the dungeon master might actually want to show the players, and that'll
Yeah.
give the game away. Because it's it's all fine expecting someone and suspecting, but when it's like literally like right there and just got blood,
Yeah. 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 Sort of like the. It's
yeah,
like, yeah. Quite often, when I'm choosing tokens for fantasy grounds, you kind of have to go, I can't use that token. That token,
yeah,
like you say, vampires are one of the
yeah,
key ones, really.
mainly.
Yeah, Countess so and so, so and so. Yeah, I can't use that vampire token for that because I think that might give it away. And you're absolutely right. Um, but yeah, um, big thumbs up from me. Not that it means anything. My opinion
No, no,
is
it does to
merely a
me.
drip in the ocean. But what I would say is a lot of people did agree with me, as it was a very successful Kickstarter for you. So congratulations on that.
No, thank
Um,
you so much.
and as I say, every page was a delight. It was filled with inspiration and ideas and things that you can use, and like you said as well, a system that you can use if you want. But what it's also got is not just that system, but also a ton of ideas for really interesting NPCs, who I don't know
Yeah,
might form some kind of relationship with one of the players. Whether it's political, whether it's business, or whether it's romantic. There's a lot of options there.
yeah. You could go into the game going as a DM. Absolutely no way am I going to have any relationships, and there's still in here like 13 fully fleshed out NPCs with plot, background, desires, goals that you could just drop into your game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic. Anyway, it's still available, so
yep.
do check it out. I don't want to write it off because it's just funded on Kickstarter and it's published. It's well worth checking out. But what also is well worth checking out is the main reason for coming on tonight. You've got a
Indeed.
new Kickstarter that launched at 5:30 today. It's already funded. Congratulations.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
Tell us about it. Give us the pitch.
So the latest project is called the Codex of Crime, because I tend to find one of the first things a player or player party will do is break the law in some way, either for fun, for profit, to get things done. But either they'll break the law instantly, or they'll often be dealing with criminals because criminals and thugs and bandits are an excellent low level enemy. So crime is just so prevalent in uh, fantasy role playing games that I thought it'd be really good to have a book that really delves into the heart of it. And so the Codex of Crime is going to tackle crime from a number of directions. One, NPCs doing crime. So what crimes are there? What do those crimes look like, particularly in a fantasy world where magic is involved, and how does that change what's legal or illegal? So take sword carrying laws in the UK and Europe in the medieval times.
Yeah.
Well, given that there are literal monsters going around, they're probably going to be a bit different. And so there's that. Each of the crimes has like a criminal gang and a statted criminal NPC. So let's check my notes. So arson as a crime, you've got the fireman gang, um, who kind of rock up to your shop and go, "Oh, this looks flammable. Better pay some fireman insurance." And then they've got Rake the Inferno as the criminal NPC, who is paid by the head of the gang to go and start fires occasionally when people don't pay their insurance.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that side of things. There's going to be a huge section on players wanting to commit crimes, because if you've ever had a rogue and you give them some downtime, what do they want to do? They want to go and
Yeah.
steal some stuff. So there'll be like a system for that, to make it easier for DMs not having to just like make stuff up on the spot. So tables for loot, rules for how easy it is to get in, some mechanics for like heat in an area. So if you're
Yeah.
robbing somewhere every night, well, maybe the guards are going to show up and
Yeah.
like wait. Um, there'll be a big section on the guards and on the law and how they deal with criminals. So how do you keep a wizard in prison, for example? Like what do you have to do? Because it's different to keeping, a normal person in prison.
Yeah.
Different again, keeping a druid in prison. Um, and like if your players break the law, what do you do about that? You can't just let them off scot free. They have to either earn that, by escaping, or if they're caught, there needs to be ways out without just ending the campaign. But it can't just be scot free because that lacks some realism. There's no consequences. So yeah,
Absolutely.
those are the kind of, sorry for the ramble. Those are the kind of the
No, no,
areas
no.
we're coming from.
It's fascinating, and there is so much. One of the things that I don't struggle with, but I find sort of problematic is you're perfectly right. Rogues want a rogue,
Mm,
and you can, in session zeros, you can say, look, there's no player versus player, whether that's stealing from players
yeah,
or sort of combat. We want to keep it friendly around the table, but in downtimes, that's depending on the backstory of the rogue. Obviously,
yeah,
that is kind of what they want to do, um, and it's all very well saying, "I'll just go and give me a sleight of hand then for picking a pocket or whatever,"
mm,
but it doesn't feel. It doesn't give them much, if you know what I mean. So I
yeah,
totally agree with you. And yeah, how does society where magic exists, not just magic, but I mean, if it's a high fantasy game and we're talking about fifth edition D&D, players are beyond normal
oh
mortals,
yeah,
even at first level. And we were chatting about, barbarians. If there's a couple of barbarians that are, even mid-level, your
yeah,
standard guards, they're not necessarily stupid, so they're not going to go, "Oh yeah, we can take them." They're going to
yeah.
go, um, "Yeah, what do we do here?"
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be like, go and get, whoever it is his job
Yeah,
to do. I maybe they'll have like some sort of ogre in plate armor whose only job is to kill people like that.
yeah,
Maybe the city guard will have a wizard
yeah,
on retainer, who they pay to come and deal with things like that.
absolutely.
But yeah, a guard isn't just gonna run up to, a hulking barbarian,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not worth the life. Um,
Quite often in my games, I like to remind players of how powerful they are. And there's a number of times I've bigged up like a mastermind, spy lord or whatever, and they've finally sort of got to it, and then the barbarian hits him, and he's got like 4 hit points.
yeah,
It's just instant kill over and over again, and it's like, no, he's just clever.
yeah,
When they break out a barroom fight, if they're not pulling their blows, they actually can
yeah,
kill, because they are so strong and powerful. Um, so it is fun. I mean, maybe um, you know cities recruit other adventuring companies.
Exactly.
Just you deal with it. That they kind of your kind of people.
And if the party are particularly lawful or well thought of, that's something that we touched
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Is guards might approach them and be like, "Hey, when you're in town, can you be on call for like other people like you?"
yeah,
Uh, and yeah, magic just while I'm thinking about magic registration, because Eldritch Blast is a lot more dangerous than a longsword.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
there's so many little intricacies that often don't get thought of. I want
yeah,
to kind of, raise his questions and provide some answers, but also let people, come up with their own,
yeah.
because, they might decide, actually, no, I want to lean into this. I want, my cities to be absolute bloodbaths. And yeah.
It happens sometimes. What worked well with me? Have you played Dragon Heist or ran Dragon
Uh,
Heist?
we have not yet.
Okay, so I mean, there's two schools of thought in this campaign book. It's very sandboxy, although there's not a linear line of the adventure. There's like
Mm,
multiple linear lines, and there's a lot of choices.
yeah.
Um, but that's not what I'm going to say. It's set in Waterdeep.
Mm,
And Waterdeep is the city of splendors, Faerun, well known. But the way that I play it and the way the book is written, it's also incredibly lawful. And right from the start, Dragon High starts at first level. Um, the characters get these letters of note, and they're available everywhere. These leaflets listing all of the crimes and all of the penalties. If you do this, this is the things you best have this, sir, because if you're new to Waterdeep, perhaps you don't know. Do you hail from Baldur's Gate? Oh, terrible place. A lot of crime down there. We don't do crime here. And it kind of it sets a precedent, especially at lower levels for characters of, oh right, perhaps if we are going to do something, perhaps we will do it substantially more subtly.
yeah.
Whereas Baldur's Gate, it's kind of like, well, anything goes really. And I kind of equate them to the DC universe of Baldur's Gate is like Gotham, and it's just
Mm,
like, yeah, it's just horrible, sort of super villains everywhere. And uh, Waterdeep is like Metropolis, where there is like these Superman-esque kind of powerful mages that
yeah.
exist, these lords of Waterdeep that can put things down. So I love heists. I love
Mm.
crime. I love kind of it as a mechanic in games. So I'm very excited for this Kickstarter. I shall certainly be backing it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. And yeah,
No.
hopefully it will actually interface really well with books like Dragon Heist and books like the latest one they brought out of Heist, which the names escaped me.
Yeah, I think it's called the Golden Vault or something.
Yeah,
Is that
yes, that's
is that it?
yeah. Because yeah, if you're doing heists, you're doing some crime, you're probably dealing with some criminals. And so the codex will hopefully give you a whole extra bits of seasoning to kind of add to those sorts of things.
Yeah, perfect. And talking about obviously that book coming out, there's been a certain movie that's been released very
Yeah.
recently called, I believe, Honor Amongst Thieves. It might have references to Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not quite sure. I mean, have you seen the movie?
I'm seeing it on Sunday with two people I regularly D&D with.
Excellent.
I'm very excited for it. Uh,
Um, Excellent. No, I mean, I haven't had a chance to see it either. I've been too busy running games, but my family have. They came back and they thought it was absolutely amazing. So you're going to have an awesome time there. But coincidentally, it's about heists and thievery and stuff like that. Um, is this by chance or is this precision marketing by Evil Pigeon Games?
absolute, complete good luck and serendipity.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm so excited for it because it just shows Honor Among Thieves. thievery is just and crime is just it's everywhere
Yeah,
in role-playing games. It's kind of one of, the unspoken pillars of it. Because if everything was just lawful and black and white, it'd be boring.
yeah,
There's got to be that kind of element of crime, either under the surface or, like in Baldur's Gate, everywhere, just to
absolutely.
give it a bit of flavour.
I mean, I'm a massive fan of heist movies anyway, so I do like all of this kind of material. We will be playing Blades in the Dark next Tuesday, which obviously is all about heists and stuff. And role playing is about escapism, and if it's
Mm,
done consensually around a table where everybody's aware of what's going on, what better way to be those lovable rogues if you need to be,
yeah.
in a safe space, And as I said, role
Yeah.
playing is escapism, so it's the perfect place to do it. No, I've just had a quick look at your Kickstarter page again, kind of watching it. Well done. You've hit over £1,000 already. Bearing in mind
Oh,
this only launched 5:30 today.
oh
48.
wow, mine's been. Cause I've got it open in a tab. It's been updating
Let me.
in September.
I've just clicked refresh again. Yeah, you're doing very well. So, uh, funded over and over again. I can't do the math, but I mean, this is only a few hours into it. Well, it's only an hour into it, realistically. 48 backers so far. Um, I
Yeah, if any of my backers watch this, just thank you so much for helping this happen.
no, no,
Uh,
it's a play. You're welcome anytime, Chris. Seriously, I genuinely anything that I have on here, I want it to be a positive. I'm not. I'm choosing people whose work I really appreciate and like, um, rather than being sort of sponsored to say things. I want the club to be a club. I want it to be genuine. Anybody watching might think, oh, well, he seems to love everything that's on the show. Well, yeah, that's because I only
mm,
choose to invite people on the show, that I genuinely appreciate all of the stuff they're doing. I don't like toxic sort of, I'm not
mm,
here to put people down. I'm not here you know, to get views or likes or subscribes because, oh God, you want to see the way that he interviewed that guy who really kind of asked some really deep probing questions. No, we're here to have fun. If you're invited onto the club, and I don't mean you specifically, but it's because I genuinely like your company. I like to have a good conversation, and in your case, I love your work, and I think it's
well, thank you so
very
much.
well worth highlighting. I mean, I say that we have only a small amount of viewers, but everything counts. I mean, and like I said earlier, we've got to start somewhere. Um,
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm happy to help out by being a guest, and I'm so delighted and honoured that you chose me to come on here. It's always a real pleasure.
yeah, no. Um, I'm gonna have to get ready to run the game very soon. If you, I mean, this YouTube video is live, so therefore it's on our YouTube stream live at the moment. If it's of any use to you, you can obviously share it, so people can see you chatting about the Kickstarter. It'll go to our video on demand tomorrow morning. There's a 24-hour wait, so I will do that. But genuinely check out all of Evil Pigeon's products. Um, as I say, there are a number of older products that I very, very much like. The Night Market, one of them, is just outstanding. I kind of like all of those little items, and it's very. It gives me a lot of inspiration for for moving it further in my games, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's quite easy to suddenly sort of have that blank when you're at the table and go, right, I do need something now, and sort of flicking to your PDFs, it's like, yeah, that'll do, and that's
Yeah.
and I'm off and going again.
And for everyone watching, the night market has eyeball. So if there's not a reason to pick it up, I don't know what I can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank you very much. Congratulations on your already funded Kickstarter.
Thanks so much.
I'm sure it's going to do substantially more than that as well. I know that because I'm back in it. So you've got another back coming very shortly. I was going to try and do it live on air, but then I kind of, with the way I know technology, I'll be showing my PIN number and card number to everybody, and I thought it's probably
Uh,
best not to do that. Probably
well,
best not to do that.
good luck in your game later.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
No worries. So for the moment, good night from me. We will be doing a 6 o'clock club tomorrow, even though it's Good Friday. We'll be talking about the bank holiday games and what we've got planned for April. And thank you very much for taking part. Stay safe, everybody. I will catch you all tomorrow night. Goodbye for now.